Regional Plan Implementation Committee, if we can stand for the.
Your mic should be on. There you go. No, go ahead.
I forgot, thank you. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was told 5 minutes ago, and I already forgot, that if you want to talk, you need to press your button and you get a little green light.
Sure, cool.
And I think they're going to serve breakfast in a little while for everybody.
That game. Really?
No.
Oh, I was like, man.
FOIA requests have gone out. Asked for motion on the minutes from the March 25th meeting.
Mr. Chairman, as a point of order, do we have a quorum?
Oh, that's right. We don't have a quorum yet, so we won't be able to do that. I guess we'll ask for any citizen comments. Seeing none. Stephanie, you're up quicker than you thought. We'll hear from Stephanie Rossi on the resilience review MRI.
I don't have a formal presentation today.
What you got there?
Okay.
Sit down.
Yeah.
You can be Mitch, Gerald, or York.
Yeah, okay.
I'd recommend you play the part of Mitch. Generals have all the fun.
So I don't have a formal presentation today. I did turn it on.
Yeah,
I'm just
you're on.
not loud. We were looking for adoption to endorse or support the MIRR, so we can move forward with that. The contract actually, or the grant ends on the end of the month, but I can come back at the next meeting if the quorum isn't met today. And would look for potentially having your councils go on and endorse. So I do have just a one-page handout too I can give you folks, because if you didn't have time to read all 100 pages in the last several weeks. But also I did see Hytham is online. If there is, this is a good opportunity if you have any more technical questions or anything when you were reading it or reviewing it. He could probably answer some of those. Before he moves on and our contract is over, but I did want to give you a heads up. We are still talking with Old CC, that's the department at DOD that funded this project, and they are very interested in doing a follow-on grant. We're still kind of have the balls in the air and figuring out how that's going to work and exactly, but we're looking at Shell Point. So I've been talking to Paris Island about that, just making sure there's no issues with the property, because they own the land that's under the interchange, so there's some issues, but they've sent in some questions to their legal team about that. So anyway, I'm hopeful that we can make something move forward, but it would possibly provide funding for project scoping and partial design to move forward with some different, I don't know, Hytham, if you're online, you can give a quick highlight of what we were looking at. It was some shoreline stabilization and.
Yeah, more than happy to help in. So with Shell Point, we put it in as a pilot project. There is a ton more that we have in a kind of project scoping report for that one. And what we're looking at is shoreline stabilization, looking at the existing shoreline is beginning to erode away. We're looking at habitat restoration as another element to give a little more resilience. And then different steps that you can take to also do stormwater management, water quality management, to give more resilience to the interchange from coastal flooding and rainfall flooding. So there's a couple of different layered flooding and coastal habitat scenarios we are hoping to continue further and start actual design and permit planning with those recommendations.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to suggest that you give us a deadline to get comments back to
to you and her, so that we apparently have a real close deadline with the contractor too. It's a lot to digest, and I have not delved into it as much as I'd like to, and I don't know about the rest of us. We got it electronically, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of work's been put into that, and
Yeah.
I'd like to give it the full attention it needs. And I don't know what that deadline needs to be, but maybe you can tell us, Ms. Rossi.
Well, I was hoping we were going to have a quorum today for action, but we can take comments up. I can continue to take them. We're going to, Sherwood Engineers' contract is coming to a close, so what edits and things we can do might be a little more limited in terms of like overall scope of, of the recommendations. But we're happy to continue to take comments, especially if we can move forward into that next project with the Old CC. I'd be really hopeful that we were able to continue this grant or follow on grant and have that opportunity to keep moving forward with this.
I would agree with Councilwoman Howard about some guidance on feedback. I've made it through a little over half of the report, but
Yeah.
didn't get through the whole thing. I'm prepared to talk about 4 or 5 issues today if that's appropriate. But maybe a 2-week deadline or something that would give you guys maybe 2 weeks to come back with responses. Then within a month, we'd come back and hopefully approve the thing at our next meeting.
Yeah, the next meeting is the 27th. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks.
It gives us 5 weeks, so.
But if the contractor is going offline, when could they actually when's the last time they could make changes to the document?
Well, I'll have to talk with them about that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I guess arbitrarily, if we want to take the mayor's suggestion, that would take us to the 6th for another 2 weeks.
6th of May.
6th of May.
Okay.
Pardon?
For comments back.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that sound okay? Okay, we'll go ahead and set the 6th of May for comments.
Is there any comments now that you wanted to,
Yeah,
since we have
a
Mike
few
on here?
because like I said, I got through about half of it.
Most of it didn't get through all the appendixes.
One's kind of a broad question. It was focused on the Paris Island and Marine Corps Air Station. And I was just curious of why the Naval Hospital wasn't included in the study.
I honestly, that just back when they started the grant, that was just how it was worked out. I kind of inherited it at that point. I think they were just focused on military mission and the 2 installations that were active bases.
Okay. Page 14, the bottom right paragraph, the second to the last sentence says, Beaufort County currently receives the greatest amount of visitor spending and has the largest number of tourism-generated jobs in the state. And so I challenged that data point,
Okay.
not understanding the actual numbers of Charleston County or Horry County, but what little I know about the economic differences in our counties, I would think that Charleston or Horry would be.
Okay, yeah,
Our coffers for A-tax and H-tax are being more substantially filled
yeah.
in Charleston.
We would have a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah, so just from a point
Gotcha.
of accuracy,
Okay.
not a big deal, but
Okay.
I did want to point that out. I think Charleston's going to have somewhere around 5 or 6 million visitors this
Yeah.
year compared to Hilton Head. I'll have 2.4, 2.6. I think we're about 500,000 something.
Okay.
So we're still probably a little less than half of what the Charleston region
Yeah.
will see. Page 16, the bottom left paragraph, again, really sort of minimal, but it says city pipes under county roads deliver electricity, gas, water, sewer, and broadband. And from an ownership standpoint, the majority of roads in northern Beaufort County, with the exception of our neighbors in Port Royal, are state-owned
State-owned.
roads. And most of the infrastructure that are under their roads are not owned by the city, but owned by the respective utilities.
Yeah, really.
So again, a kind of a point of
Okay.
accuracy. On page 20, there is a really cool chart about threat ranking that shows hurricanes and and I'm maybe missing it, my dense brain. But what do the colors represent in that chart? There's purple, orange, and blue in addition to the, I didn't see a key.
Okay. Actually, I think this might have been one of the comments we had too, is to put the key in, but Hytham can correct me on that. I have some of my comments here.
Which chart is that one? Sorry, I don't have the report open.
It's page 20, and it's the threat ranking chart. And so tornado, hurricane, windstorm, lightning, hail, drought, earthquakes, and sort of ranks them in, and it says it was pulled.
Oh yeah,
The graphs from the 2020 Low-Country Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan, so maybe we just
Okay.
didn't move the key over from
Yeah,
that plan.
Yeah.
But it's, you know,
Oh, here, take that one. I got it.
and I can just give you my notes here if you want to take my,
Okay.
if you can read my chicken scratch. Should have been a doctor with that handwriting. Just didn't have it. I've had a half a pot of coffee this morning, Joe, so I apologize. And then just a compliment. On page 40, I really like the way the computer's moving a little slow here.
Excuse me.
I really like the way the elevational analysis, the change in land area at risk, shows, you know, storm surge, shallow coastal flooding, pluvial flooding, based on the elevations, and then the percentage of land area at risk. I thought that was a really sort of cool way to lay out those data points. And overall, I mean, to Alice's point, it's a very comprehensive, lots of really great information that I think sort of sets the stage in the beginning of the study for what we're going to deal with, and then some very pragmatic recommendations on how we can work together to start making ourselves a little more resilient.
Yeah.
So just want to say, well done.
Thank you.
I may have more, like I said, I only got through a little over half of it.
I understand.
But out of 50 pages to have, 4 comments, I didn't think that was too bad.
No, that's not too bad.
Giovanni was around with Rob was around with the Ladies Island plan.
Other comments from the board? Yeah, I'd say I spent a few hours going through it, but it is extremely detailed, and I think it's a great thing to have as a basis for moving forward with projects. I think maybe there'll probably be some more comments later on the last section for cost implementations, but any other comments? Any comments from the public or anybody else online? Seeing none, thank you very much, Stephanie. Oh, I had one other question. Is it possible to get a hard copy of this report?
Yeah, I can print it out for you. We don't have, so when we're done, this is actually intended to be more of that like 2-spread layout. So we modified it so it was a little easier to print for folks to review, but I can get you the version that we have right now. I don't have the 2-spread layout yet.
Okay, thank you. I'm just kind of old school. I like
Yeah, no, I get it.
scratching on
Paper.
paper. Okay, well, thank you very much, Stephanie. I appreciate it.
You want my chicken scratch?
Chairman? We just had someone join us online that's not identified. If they please just let us know who it is.
That iPhone 843?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you please identify yourself?
I think we're unmuted.
I can't see the rest of the number. What are the numbers?
986.
7325 is the last four.
Could be.
Did you say 7-3?
7325.
It's not bad.
It's not no.
Nobody
It's
in
not
my-
bad, no.
It's not no one.
No one in my contacts.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the prioritization list. I guess I'd just ask, since we don't have a quorum, there were a number of things that we discussed at the last meeting. We did eliminate a few things from the list. I would just say is if anybody has any comments or items they would like to bring up on the action item list, to go ahead and do so. Hearing none, I think I'll ask that the next time the list comes out, that the items that we have deleted on this, go ahead and just come off. That'll leave us with a handful, maybe 2 handfuls left on here. I would ask, though, that with everything going on, if there's some other items that we bring them up at the next meeting and put those on the action item list. This is the body, I think, that is the one that can help discuss and coordinate between all the jurisdictions.
I would like to add to number 9, we did meet internally, the Planning Department and Public Works and the Coastal Conservation League, and I think Planning Department.
Turn on your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Alice Howard. Number 9 on the list about the plastic bag recycling issues. We did have an internal meeting, and the Coastal Conservation League came to that meeting. I think within the county, the planning department, rather than Public Works, is going to take the lead when the time comes, because we'll take it to the Natural Resource Committee to change the ordinance and tweak it. So that's the only, we don't need to change the verbiage, but just internally, the county planning department will take the lead rather than Public Works on that update to the ordinance. And then we'll go to the municipalities with it and see if they're agreeable to changing it, the ordinance, tweaking it a little bit.
And then you'll come back to this board to
Sure.
have that discussion. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Before we take it to Natural Resources, we'll do that.
Any other discussion?
Well, Mike, instead of just removing them, can we just make a new tab, completed items, in case we ever want to go back and see the notes or anything about what was
Sure.
done? Just so that we have one that we're working on and one that shows completed.
Sure.
Just get it off, that way we can go back.
And we don't lose them.
Okay.
It makes it easier than going back to minutes a lot of times to find what we did on something.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, good. That's a good point.
On 14, Shoreline, it still references the city's planning director, who's no longer with us. Rob, are you meeting with the RICO or the group at city at all? The ones that are taking Dave's place for the time being?
We had some initial conversations with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of this, we wanted to coordinate with the city in terms of agreeing on what type of consultant we'd like to bring forward,
Mm-hmm.
To oversee the charrette. So that, you're talking about the Ladies Island Village Center Master Plan? Or-
Just general future land use plans, and in number 14 with Dave's, since Dave is no longer there, you should be focusing probably towards RICO for contact right now until we have the new planning director in place.
Yeah. I think the general thought at the last meeting was that until this new director is aboard, we're probably gonna
Sure.
put off some of the heavy lifting.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, that was just looking at future land use based on Ladies Island and in large part Ladies Island and out towards St. Helena. Anything else on this? I think the comments that still have Dave, there's more historical in nature, and we're adding in bold print the more current. So I guess we'd still leave those intact. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll go to roundtable comments.
got a few. Oh, I left mine on. Yeah. Not responsible enough to turn it on and off. Tuesday night at 5:30 at the University Performing Arts Center, the city, in partnership with the Coastal Conservation League and University of South Carolina Beaufort's Center for the Arts, are bringing Victor Dover from Dover Cullen Partners to town. He's going to do about a 30-40-minute presentation and then answer questions from folks that are in person in the theater. It will also be live streamed on the City of Beaufort Facebook page. But Victor's going to kind of do an overview about land use and kind of Beaufort County over the next decade. So be a really good opportunity to bring someone who's one of the most well-respected land planners in the country to come in, hopefully ask some questions. Beaufort City Council's work session will be the following day, so Wednesday and Thursday. We appreciate the county. We're hosting it out at the St. Helena Library. So appreciate the space. Kicking off at 9 a.m. both days. The first day we're going to talk about the city's strategic plan and our capital improvement plan, scrub those documents pretty quickly. And then the remaining day and a half, we're going to go into code and I guess he's calling it code debugging. So in our Beaufort Development Code that we passed back in 2018, we've been keeping kind of a list of code issues. And so Mr. Tomey is chairman of the MPC. He put in some feedback. We ask all of our council members, we ask our staff members, we ask the chairs of our boards and commissions to put in concerns that they have. So we've compiled that list. That's been sent over to the consultants. And so look forward to making some headway next week on outstanding code issues, but talking about just land use in general.
What day is the city workshop at 9?
At 9 a.m. on Wednesday and Thursday.
What's the date?
27th and 28th.
Yeah.
27th and 28th. And then I'm signed up for the USCB, it's the Arts Center, correct?
Perfect. Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Well, that's Tuesday night.
That's Tuesday
That's
night.
Tuesday night. Yep.
Okay.
And we appreciate folks registering. So Coastal Conservation League has your info to mail you stuff in the future, but it's not required if you don't want to. And it'll also, like I said, be live streamed. Other thing I want to.
Could I ask you a question on that?
Oh yeah.
What kind of research has Dover Cole done to date for either the city or the county?
So Dover's
his research.
Dover's got a long history with Beaufort County and with the city. Dover and yeah, so Dover helped with, I think the county's one of the first comprehensive plans from 1995 to 1997. And any of you, if I'm wrong, please step up. But he instrumental in Beaufort County's comprehensive plan from 95 to 97. His firm was responsible for the Boundary Street redevelopment plan that was sort of modeled. We modeled the Ladies Island RFP after. He's done 3 or 4 other things here over the last few years. He was last year in
Hilton Head,
2017. He's done a bunch of work over in Hilton Head, a bunch of work up in Charleston. So he's very familiar with the area. He was recently doing a project in Hilton Head, so him and his associates drove through the area within the last 6 months or so. And he's been forwarded all of our Beaufort code and all of the outstanding code issues, and him and his associates are going through that to be up to speed when they come in next week.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second thing is the Beaufort Digital Corridor, in conjunction with the city and University of South Carolina Beaufort, are hosting a TechStars Startup Weekend. That'll begin next Friday evening at the Old Boys and Girls Club, the future home of the South Coast Cyber Center, and appreciate the county's commitment and funding for that to help us acquire that facility. But 54 hours, so Friday to Sunday evening. If you ever have an interest in tech startups or tech entrepreneurship, it's like $25 to sign up. Right now we're running a not quite half price, but $15 special. Get a t-shirt and we'll feed you all weekend. But you just show up, you can get with a team, and you basically create a startup over the course of the weekend. And then at the end on Sunday, there'll be a pitch contest, and we have some really cool judges who are gonna select the winners and give some cool prizes. There's also a opportunity for folks to come and observe. It's $10 to observe the event at any time throughout the weekend, and you can find out more information at BeaufortDigital.com. But our first event, really excited. We've got a whole host of local sponsors and restaurants. And again, no experience necessary, just a positive attitude and a willingness to learn and network about technology companies and startups.
Great.
Yesterday evening at 5 o'clock, this is kind of a county thing I would like to share. The town council from Hilton Head met with members of county council that were here, and some were online, regarding the bridge to Hilton Head and the project. I'm not sure there was a total resolution, but it was a good discussion. We had met a few weeks before at Hilton Head's town council meeting too. So those discussions keep going. Of course, the biggest issue is time and money. And right now is still an environmental assessment, but if things are changed drastically, it could kick it into an environmental impact statement and all the things that go along with that. So there's 26 points that the town of Hilton Head wanted done. I think most of them, the county and DOT can work through it, but the biggest one is that there are people on town council and people on Hilton Head who want 2 bridges instead of 1 bridge, which would really cost a lot of money and would probably kick it into the environmental impact statement status instead of getting a FONSI for an environmental statement. The other thing is, I'd like to thank the 2 mayors for participating this week in a discussion regarding impact fees. I have faith that we're going to work it out. And Monday, we will either take it up again or not at county council meeting. And I think bringing people together and having an open discussion in this very room was very worthwhile. And we're just going to keep on doing that until we get all the issues resolved regarding impact fees. And of course, town of Hilton Head was represented in Bluffton too. So that's all I have.
Good.
I'll add the Chatapult Royal is looking at Ribaut Road. Alice is one of the members on the committee, and thank her for that. In partnership with 303 Associates, we're really looking at Ribaut Road from what we call Bridge to Burger King, so that's the boundaries of the town of Port Royal on Ribaut Road. And I think when the final document comes out, I think it's appropriate that this group sees that. So we'll plan on doing a little presentation to the group and let you see what we're doing. What we're looking at is taking a number of our plans that we've already had. We've had traffic plans, and now looking at the economic drivers of what could be used to change the economic nature and landscape of that road in that areas and what's out there. So we'll bring that forward once we get that final document. I think we're probably, I was with you, 30 days? We're probably 30 days away, so I'll let you know if it makes any time for the May meeting or if we need to move it to the following.
Thank you. Thank you. I had some discussions with 303 a few months ago, and I think earlier studies had some bus stop areas identified. Hopefully, you'll be doing that again.
Yeah, part of the LOWCOUNTRY transit plan is on there. We've identified some areas, and we're looking to see how we can incorporate them in for either on Ribaut Road or off onto Paris Avenue. You're absolutely right, Mike.
Thank you.
And the plan for that dovetails with our future plan going down the other side. I mean, the intent there is that what you design moving from Burger King out, we would like to keep close to what we want to go the other way, but obviously that's down the road for us.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't really included in the process, but I think the idea is that somehow there would be some comprehensive,
Right.
You know, it doesn't look and feel different once you hit
Right.
the Port Royal line.
Yeah, exactly. We worked with Jared very closely on that because he's really taking the lead on that whole Ribaut Road on do we do the whole thing at one time? And because we're looking at kind of the off-road, the properties, more than we're looking at the road, we felt like it was necessary to know what is it that we want built in the area, how do we want it built, and then bring that into, okay, now what does the road look like? Mm-hmm. We have some traffic studies. We have a traffic study in place, the tool study that talked about intersection safety, and they're being considered in the way we're looking at the off-property redevelopment. So that way then we can then take a look at the traffic side of it, because we felt like we had to know what we were going to build to say, how do we move the cars through there in that aspect? And that's why the process is the way it is. Your section, Burger King on, is very well defined on what's there. Ours, there's a lot of redevelopment opportunity. So that's why we kind of drew that line right where it is. And then we're going to come back together and say, okay, now let's take all this with the new numbers, if this gets built, and say, how do we design a road to meet the long-term needs all the way through?
Cool.
Thank you.
And one final, just throw it on the table. I know the genesis of this committee in terms of the Northern Regional Implementation Committee, and that the real goal was for this committee to be the regional body to execute the Northern Regional Plan and to sort of monitor. Is that accurate? And I definitely see the value in us getting together to talk, because it's really the only formal conduit that we have to talk as a region, Northern region. Although I think we've tried to have good lines of communication between all the different sort of informal communications. But I've been also attending, when I can, the Southern Lowcountry meetings. And I think Alice, you've attended a number of those. But there's a number of sort of mutual interests, affordable housing's one. So there's a lot of conversation. I think the consultant study sort of came out of SoLoco. Regional stormwater came out of SoLoco. And I haven't talked to any of the SoLoco folks about this. So just as a spitball, would it make sense for us to explore the options of combining of the Northern Regional Plan and the SoLoco meeting? Because at this point, we don't have a formal mechanism for regional conversations with municipalities, with the county, with the school district, potentially with the utilities, all the folks that need to be around the table on a regular basis as we work as a region. So I just see there's a bit of sort of disparate communication between the two groups, and if it was more collaborative, would that be more meaningful? And so I just throw it out there for thought and discussion.
We've talked
A few
about
years
that
ago,
before.
I was actually on the SoLoco, and I brought that up, and I think it would be a good idea. They don't have the power this group does by charter. And I don't mean that in a negative way. They have, but they've done some great things. I think we should get together if we can, but this group has, and I say the word power, but we have more jurisdictional.
How would you, in what specific ways do we have power?
They can only make recommendations, and they don't make recommendations, but they can initiate things. They have no, I'd have to get one of them to explain it, but better
We
than I
act
can.
more like a commission and they act more like an advisory.
They're just
But
an
we don't,
advisory
I
group.
mean, none of our recommendations are binding either, right? We have to take it back to our respective jurisdictions, don't we?
Well, the northern implementation of the Northern Regional Plan
That
was,
was fine.
yes, definitely it was.
Well, I mean,
But
a case point is, we had a unanimous motion out of here several months ago about supporting a Ladies Island Village master plan to forward it on to our respective jurisdictions to support the RFP that Mike's committee put together, and that was completely disregarded.
Well, but
Completely disregarded, and
we understand, I understand your
didn't move
point.
forward out of this committee. So I argue that we don't really have a power. We're just advisory. Really, it's a mechanism for us to get around the table and talk as
I
a
would
group.
disagree. But with that, they don't even do that. The study and the stormwater was brought up by them, and then it was up to staff of the different localities to agree to it.
Right, and that's
So-
how it should work. I mean, that's how this body should work.
Well, that's true, but I think we could meet together, but they are two different missions, so to speak, and we could work on that so that they become more alike. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had this discussion before, as Mike indicated, and we talked about trying to get them just to come to our meetings. We've not been real successful in that. I'm wondering if, but I think that the collaborative idea with SoLoco is really important, and I'm wondering if maybe we set something up on maybe a quarterly basis or something like that, that there's a special meeting called, that's a joint meeting between the two.
I think it's a good way to start the process to see if we can't merge, is just, let's have a joint meeting. Let's get a joint meeting together.
Yeah,
I mean, because they call themselves SoLoco, but Yamasee is a voting member of
Other side.
SoLoco,
I
right?
always wonder, is Yamasee north, south, or west of the Broad?
Whichever
They're
day it
really
is,
west of the Broad.
it can be.
I mean, my map says they're north of
They're
Southern
north of
Beaufort County.
And then north of southern Beaufort County.
Right, right.
They're north of northern Beaufort County.
Well, why don't we go ahead and take that as something on our next agenda item, but in the meantime, maybe if we can float that to SoLoco and
Well, they have
set
a-
up a quarterly
They have a
meeting.
meeting.
They have a
Coming
meeting
up.
next week, and I was planning on attending because they're talking about the Affordable Housing Trust, and so I'm, since I threw it on the table, I'm happy to pitch it to Mayor Williams, who's the chair of SoLoco, if the group's okay with that.
Yeah.
It's been brought up
Yeah.
before
Not that we
several
can
And I
times.
think
And I think they're
we're
really,
really more, I think we're more aligned than we're definitely more aligned from the standpoint of function and power than we used to be.
exactly.
So,
What day and where is the SoLoco meeting?
It's
26th,
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah, next one's at Hardyville Town Hall.
Right.
And it's the 26th, so Tuesday at 10 a.m. at Hardyville Town Hall, which is 205 Main Street.
And their meetings are only an hour long.
Yeah, Harry's, he's
He
on the
adjourns
time.
them.
Yep.
What time was it again? 6?
10 a.m.
10
Hardyville-
a.m.
Hardyville Town Hall.
That's going to be in conflict with, no, it won't be.
No.
No, it's right.
205 Main Street.
Okay.
It's real easy to.
Someone wants to ride with me.
Okay, sounds great. I'll see if I can attend that as well.
I mean, selfishly, I'm just trying to not have multiple meetings to go to. So,
Just merge them all together and you only have one?
I mean, we get ourselves into these things and then,
We asked for this too.
Any other discussion or comments? Hearing none.
I was gonna say something about the Navy, about the Naval Hospital Medical thing that we attended. Just,
the
Pardon,
public
sorry.
meeting.
yeah, the public meeting they had, I think most of us attended that, the ambulatory center, the care center, and they are pretty much at the end of their EIS with reference to the positioning there. It's like a 6-year rotation from the standpoint of funding and design and funding and construction, but their plan is to obviously put it at the air station behind the Readiness Center so that it will serve the military for basically a outpatient surgical center. And it's a new burgeoning thing in the DHA from the standpoint of how they're providing military families with services, and it's a pretty cool concept. I mean, but that was a well presented program with a lot of people there to answer questions and sort of guide you along the way. So it was a good afternoon.
The Air Force has been doing that for years. I was involved as an architect on numerous bases across the country that are doing the same thing, have been for a while.
And the VA was there too, and they said they are looking to build a larger facility
Locally.
in Beaufort County because the population of veterans has increased with all the movement from the north to Beaufort County. And I think they said 70,000 square feet, if I remember right. It
That's
was a lot larger.
that's their prototype. That was
That's
the
the
one that they had the
prototype for
prototype. But they have like 2 or 3 options for expansion and contraction if you don't need that much. But
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
second.
And we're adjourned. Thank you very much.